Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Hi, good evening. It's Deb Drick, Chair of the Livingston County Republican Party, and my special guest tonight is State Representative Gina Johnson. Gina, welcome. Thanks for coming by. Hanging out with us and answering some questions. So we are excited that you're here. Gina is a state rep. This is your third term? Second term. Okay. Second term, and she represents, I know there's Ionia in there, right? And there's Eaton.
Yeah.
And there's Barry and
Kent.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, but she's been a conservative voice, even before she was a state rep. She was a conservative voice in Lansing, working with state reps, working with legislators to kind of get conservative messages and legislation passed. So she's been a great thing. So I'm really excited about her here. So I'm going to jump right into some questions that I prepared for her. And the first one would be, tell us what you know about our governors, the $20 million grant. What's the word I'm looking for?
Favoritism.
Yeah, favoritism, but there's a word, scandal. That's the word. There's a little bit of a scandal in there. So talk to us.
Yeah, I wasn't the one who found this out, and so I can't really speak to all the grimy details, and I'm not sure we want to go through all that. But we do know this is an example of favoritism using our state taxpayer dollars to favor certain businesses so that the money comes back around to the governor in this case, or Democrats, and it's just not right. It's fraud. It's corruption, and I'm sure it's unfortunately this is the beginning. We're gonna see many more situations like this uncovered, because we know, not just as Republicans, but just as people who have been around for a while, the Democrats have been scandalous in so many ways, and so it just takes effort to uncover these things.
Sure. So what kind of tax dollars allegedly are, what number tax dollars are allegedly at fault, I guess, in this particular situation?
In this one situation, $20 million.
Oh my goodness.
Favored to a certain businesswoman, and fundraiser she threw for the governor, and you know,
probably right. I think right before the grant or money was dispersed to her, there was a fundraiser. Oh,
yeah, and so the governor was responsible for getting that grant and having that appropriation for that businesswoman, and that clearly goes back to the governor, not a committee, not
Right.
a posse of people, bipartisan, where they
Right.
both decided and said this is best for the whole state.
Right.
It was the governor saying, we're giving it to her.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's terrible. Well, I guess we're going to be watching that. Is there a committee that's overseeing that, or who's investigating that? Obviously not the Attorney General.
Well, Attorney General's involved.
Well,
Attorney General's involved. So sometimes she shows herself to be non-political, you might say, and other times she doesn't want to touch it because it's her favorite Democrat friend.
Sure.
I hear that she's involved.
Okay.
I don't really know.
Is there a House committee? I know you guys had some oversight committees. Our speaker has assigned some oversight committees. Is somebody kind of in the House overseeing that or leading the charge in the investigation?
We have Michigan Doge.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. And this is one of the areas where it's looking at.
This is the area of Ann Boleyn, so it is. We call it Boge.
Boge. That's right.
Yes.
We love it.
Yeah,
Boge and Doge and Michigan.
That's right.
Boleyn.
Right. Yes.
She's doing a great job.
Yes,
too.
she is. We've always known her. I mean, when she was a clerk here for 100 years, you know, she was always a watchdog, and she was always very appropriation minded. So she was always very conservative. So we were, I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for that announcement to. That she would become appropriations chair for the last few years.
Right.
So, yep, Randy, you're right. Boge, that's the way. That's
right.
That's the line. So, okay. So the next thing I want to talk about, you've got a bill that stops the sale of farmland to bad places to buy farmland. Tell me about that bill, if you would, or tell us about that bill.
Yeah, it's actually part of a whole bill package. I started out with a bill to stop the purchase of farmland to foreigners.
Okay.
Just period.
Okay.
Foreigners can't buy farmland. If you look around the rest of the world, most countries do not allow foreigners to buy land, period.
Sure.
Certainly not farmland. And we all know, if we look back in history at all for a little while, that has been an area where bully governments have controlled people. They control the farmland, they control the food supply,
Right.
they control the economics around food production and the infrastructure, even getting it from farm to grocery store to table to whatever. And it's an easy way to control people. So I just started out with no foreign control of our farmland. And it ended up being a whole big package. I'm looking at my phone now for the notes here. We've got farmland. We've got property within 20 miles of a military institution. And
that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Prohibited applications on government-issued devices. Educational agreements are universities with foreign governments, healthcare providers to utilize only electronic health records technology that's physically maintained in the U.S.
Okay.
Or Canada. We can't have Michigan contracts, government contracts with these foreign entities, and prohibits public schools from receiving grants or gifts from foreign countries of concern. Let me see here. There's another one. Personal identifying information, controlling the data, etc. So this is a whole package, and these are the foreign countries of concern. China, of course, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela, and Syria.
Wow.
So we're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to protect Michigan. And I think Michigan folks, we sometimes forget, this is our little state and it's our home.
Sure.
And we take it for granted. It's beautiful. We love it. We're hunters. We're fishermen. We enjoy our natural resources. But we forget we have the most clean water, fresh water in the world.
That's right.
There's a reason why we're targeted.
Mm-hmm.
We also have an international border.
Agreed.
Alaska, Texas have international borders. Ours is third largest of all the 50 states. And that's significant. The access for a foreign government to come in easily is right there.
Sure.
They want our water. We're heavily agricultural community. I have an ag district, but it's not just my district. Michigan is known as an agricultural state. And we have the greatest variety of agriculture, second only to California, because we don't grow citrus fruit. So we can brag about our state all day long, but we got to protect it.
Agreed.
And we're just less than 10 million people, and other states have a lot more people and more land. But we've got a lot of good farmland, and we got to protect all our institutions, our military bases, our higher learning establishments, infrastructure, where you're going to have utility plants, et cetera. There's another one in the package is, so many miles within range of a utility plant. You can see we got to protect all these entities.
They're all great. They're great ideas. They're great. They're common sense, which has been severely lacking, I think, in the last couple of years.
Right, and these really, I'd like no foreigners involved in what we're doing. But this was what was agreed upon. And again, in the political sphere and in Michigan, we have to compromise sometimes. And people hate that word, but it's a reality. We don't go to Lansing and get everything we want. We rarely get everything we want. And don't show me a marriage where you get everything you want. Both people get everything they want. No family all the folks in the family get everything they want. You don't get everything you want in a corporation, et cetera, and whatever you look at. We got to look at reality, what's feasible right now, what we can protect right now, and some things have to go pushed aside, and we're going to settle those up later. But these countries are on the terrorist watch list. We know that they are threats. We know that some of them have said, Iran calls America the big Satan. It's obvious whom they're out to get. So
wow. Well, Karen just wrote in, truly the first and one of the only role of government is protection and security. And Karen, I agree. That's a big role, and that's something that I'm glad to hear our legislature is taking care of or taking seriously. In Michigan, yes, we have the borders, but we also have lake access to come in too. It's not even, yes, we have immigration checking here and checking here, but it's not like coming from Cuba by boat. It's a little, there's some places it's fairly short to come over by boat, and then once you're in. And so it's good that I like the idea that we're also not allowing them to buy out, because you're right, that would be the quickest way to disarm us, to own everything and then shut everything down, or have easy access
without
to shutting
firing
it down.
a shot or declaring war.
Yes.
No military actions.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'm glad to see that. So where is that package right now? Is that gone to committee yet, or has it been voted on?
Committee and House.
Okay.
So as many things are, we're waiting on the Senate.
It's sitting in the Senate. Okay.
Democrat run Senate.
Right.
That's the problem.
So and you guys will remember. I'm just going to bring this up because I think this is going to come into play right here. We talked about what our legislator looks like, and this is the blue executive branch, and then we have a blue Senate branch, and then we have a red House. And for anything to work, in a three-way, you'll recall that in the three-way blue, that Republicans had no say in the policy or the budget when the Dems had majority. Those were the 23, 24 years, okay? Now, to gain agreement, trades must be made. And that's what Representative Johnson was saying a few minutes ago. You can't go in right now and just get everything you want, because this red is going to demand, these blue are going to say hell no, and these two are going to demand, but this red is going to say hell no. So in the end, either nothing gets done, or they say, all right, we'll give you this if you give us that. And that's just how it works. So just want to bring that back up as she talks about, just so we're under the understanding of what she's saying. Thank you.
I love the visual imagery. People need to know that.
They do.
And see it.
They do.
And never stop talking about it over and over again. New people enter the political scene and suddenly you're voting and paying attention.
That's right.
And others have been there a long time, but we got to keep reminding them this is how it works.
And I've heard so many times over the last 2 years, legislators being bashed because they couldn't get anything done in Lansing, and people just don't understand.
Right.
If you are in a minority, all you can do is bitch.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. But
Yeah.
you know, I like your comment about show me a marriage that I always agree. I worked for a long time when the House, the Senate, and the governor, and the Attorney General, and the Secretary of State were all Republican, and they still sometimes argued about things.
Course,
so you know,
of course.
it's a family.
I'd
and-
like to have that argument.
Yeah, I know. I gotta
I'm
admit,
okay with
I gotta
that.
admit that was a good argument to
Wasn't
have.
it?
But
Yeah.
still, sometimes I just remember going into caucus, because back then the staff was allowed in the caucus rooms, and I remember thinking, how are these people all senator, you know, Republicans, especially when I first started? How are these people all? And they still argue. But then when people comment about that, I say, do you ever go to a local Republican Party meeting? Show me where everybody agrees. No, it doesn't happen. So anyway,
We're not supposed to.
no,
Iron sharpens iron.
That's
we
right.
refine each other.
That's
We
right.
get better ideas when we have
That's
these
right.
little discussions.
Agreed. 100%. All right, next topic I'd like to ask you about, at least if you can explain to us, the Michigan State Police. There was a big hoopla about the no confidence in the
Vote.
in the top dog there, and I don't know what his role is, general or major or whatever it is, but
Director.
yes, so director. So what there was no confidence statements from everybody. Where is that situation now?
Okay, so let's go back to affirmative action.
Okay.
Some of us are old enough to remember there was affirmative
yes.
action, and then we did away with that. Why did we do away with that? Because we should have a merit-based system, especially when you're looking at safety, military.
Sure.
These are critically important roles. You don't pick your surgeon based on color, race, height, weight,
Sex.
age, sex. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Right.
You want the best surgeon to do the best
Right,
operation
right.
on you, and you want to be able to get up and have your total knee, and you get to walk.
That's right.
Again, Michigan State Police, the governor's DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion directives. The Democrats, they want affirmative action all over again after we've already proven that is not helpful, not
Right.
effective, and wastes a whole lot of money and time. And so the governor picked her director, and
Based on DEI or based on affirmative, whatever. Okay.
right. And
So-
she could have found somebody competent, even with the ethnic group that she wants. Find competency.
That's right.
There are plenty of black men who are competent.
That's right.
She didn't
And
pick
women.
a competent one. Yeah, of course. And in
Yes,
this case, he's
sure.
a black man. It's nothing against him being black. It's just we want competency. And if this many of the that work for Michigan State Police give a no confidence vote, we got a big problem.
Yep.
We already have low morale with the police.
Right.
We are seeing them pummeled in court. They're not backed up by our own judges and juries. And who's going to become a cop in the state of Michigan? Now, they can go to a different state and have backup.
Sure.
But not here. I'm embarrassed to say it. It feels hopeless. And do you think safety is important?
It's a
Two roles of government.
Major priority. Yes.
Infrastructure,
Yep.
safety. Here's our lesson again. What
Agreed.
is government for? Infrastructure and safety. If we can't do those well, we don't start spending money in all these other categories. We haven't even done those well.
Wow. Wow. Well, so is anything been done? Anything going to be done?
Well, the first step is, first step in getting help is admit you have a problem.
How often
We're
is that gonna- Anybody
We're
taking wages?
We're admitting we have a problem. We're showing and exposing
yeah,
the problem. Now the public sees the problem.
I don't
No.
think it's us that needs to do that admission. I think the governor needs to say that. But
Yeah,
let's see.
is she going to? Is she going to
I
help
don't know.
us get a different director? That's going to be a little more difficult
Okay,
process.
a little more drama coming.
And
to
you know
there.
what? If she's not going to, she's going to embarrass herself.
Yep.
I mean, shame on her.
Right.
It's going to be worse than shame on her. I hear she wants to run for other things in the future.
I've heard that too.
We've all heard it.
That's
she
right.
She better wisen up, or she's not
sure,
gonna have a chance.
because it's not going to be the state police behind her. That's for sure. So we have another question here. Patricia Boland says we need Michigan House Bills 98 and 04 here to get passed in the Senate. Protect manufactured homeowners from corporate greed. Okay. I don't know anything about that. This is, Representative Gina Johnson is in the House, not in the Senate, but yes, that's probably a good thing. And another thing, this is just to demonstrate our reach. We are spreading out. We have Jackson representative. We have Wayne County representative.
Wonderful, Wayne County.
That's exactly half the Wayne County Republican Party right there.
Oh,
at least no, I tease him. Anyway, thanks. Mark's a good sport.
Some of them have it harder than Livingston County.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Yes. So yes, we love our red Livingston County. That's for sure. So Mark hangs out with us on Tuesdays here. So we love him coming up here. So what else we got here? You had a visit from the Nuge. You had the Gonzo. What's going on with Ted Nugent showing up at the House?
I'm on the Committee of Natural Resources and Tourism. We have 3 committees come together: Oversight and Appropriations and Natural Resources. And Uncle Ted, that we love to call him,
right?
Uncle Ted. He has to get old enough, to be called Uncle. So he is.
He's always going to be Gonzo to me.
Oh, there you go.
That's what he was. I'm dating myself in a big way.
And I love the guitar and band, all that stuff. We love music. I know you and I share that too, Deb.
Yep.
But he was there and gave a compelling couple of speeches, as well as other folks. We've got decrease in commercial fishermen, 13 left. We used to have a couple thousand in this state. Emergency rules that were many years ago have been taken away. Now they're still enacted, and it's decreasing the possibility for commercial fishermen to operate.
Too much regulation is what you're saying?
Yeah, and the DNR has had too much. I don't want to say they had too much power, but if you have too much power, if you have a lot of power,
you have unchecked power is what they have.
Well, and if you don't check yourself,
right,
you're going to get it checked,
right,
by us now.
Good.
We're talking about body cams on DNR agents,
right,
and they need a search warrant to enter someone's property,
right,
and they never used to have that. They shouldn't have to, but they've abused their power.
Sure.
And not all of them. I'm sure there's so many good agents, but the ones that have abused it have ruined it for everybody else.
Oh, I worked for a couple of UP reps, and boy, they just the issues that used to come back about the DNR just running roughshod over everybody and not being checked at all. So good. I'm glad to hear that. So Ted, Ted,
he identified a whole slew of areas. He has pigs that people come to hunt, and they wanted to call them feral Russian, wild Russian boars, and they're not feral and wild if they're in a pen.
So we're not talking the wild stuff. They want to identify.
Yeah, and so and somehow by giving, it's so hard to even talk about it because I don't like to identify how stupid we sound in Michigan. Nobody wants to talk about in education we're 48th in the nation. Our kids are not stupid. Our teachers are not stupid. We don't have dumb DNR agents.
Right.
But if they spend as much time as they have proven to spend for several years now, is this an okay boar species? Is this invasive, illegal pigs? And back and forth. It's illegal. It's not illegal. It's invasive. It's not invasive. We look stupid. Mm-hmm. Make up your mind, figure out what we're doing or not doing, and then have some science to back it up. And whatever you're doing. We have fewer hunters now, way too many deer, 58,000 deer accidents. I think they reported in 23.
They're everywhere.
And the governor and the Democrats want to raise the fees on hunting, fishing, going to parks. This is insane. Are we going to use our natural resources and enjoy them? How are we supposed to advertise pure Michigan and come to Michigan for tourism, and we're making it harder to even enjoy the state?
Right.
So we got so many problems. A lot of this was brought out with Uncle Ted, and a lot of lawsuits still going on for a couple years.
Okay.
One guy testified he had the longest running lawsuit in history of Michigan against the government because of the fines and the fees and the regulation against his, I believe, pig farm. And this stuff, when you expose it in committee, you don't know whether to laugh or cry. It's so abominable. So we're exposing it so that it changes.
Wow. Well, good. All right. I want to make a quick announcement here. We have different ways to sign into our show. When I see a comment, generally at least once, I will recognize it. So right now, here's Mark Ashley Price, my good friend in Wayne County. Republicans in Livingston County are doing an awesome job. Thank you, Mark. We love you. So, but I recognize that. If you're posting comments on the side and I'm not seeing them, or I'm not putting them up here, or at least some of them, I'm not seeing you. Jay, I see you. We'll get to that in a minute. So, we'll if you're not, that means I don't see them. I recommend going to Facebook, Livingston County Republican Party, not the one that says official. Livingston County Republican Party. It's a public page. Go there, sign off here, go there and sign in, and then post something there. That's if you're posting. If you don't post, you just want to watch, fine, stay where you are. We're good. All right, so we have who is organizing to substantially challenge the signatures on the rigged rank voting folly. I don't think anybody's there yet, are they?
Oh, we're just starting to talk about this.
Yes.
It's a problem, though, and Rochelle Smith, Rep. Smith is Speaker Pro Tem. Rochelle Smith is head of the Election Integrity Committee.
Okay.
So we're going to have to deal with this.
We had a show on that, and I'll tell you, I didn't know a whole lot about it till after we had Megan Reckling come and talk about it. And boy, she knows her stuff there, and she just laid it out for us, and I was horrified. And I know we as Republicans, we're out here, we're out at this event, whatever, and then we get these ranked choice voting people, and I've had nose to noses with some of these people because they're telling people things that's not going to happen. So it's a bad thing. All right, talk about the budget. You had mentioned something on your Facebook page about you're being lied to about, or the public is being lied to about the budget. Who's doing the lying, and what are they lying about?
The Democrats are lying. In April, with Rep. Boland's leadership, Boge leadership, doing an outstanding job, and with the also the leadership of our Speaker of the House, Matt Hall. In April, we introduced a government shutdown prevention plan, which was, let's secure the things that are coming up for the July 1st starts the beginning of all of the school budgets. Okay. So we want K through 12, and we also had a higher ed portion of the package. K through 12 secured, $12,000 per pupil. Never has happened before in the state of Michigan. Wow. That is the highest amount of money.
I was on the school board. I never saw anything close to that.
So we're 10,000-ish. Well, just under 10,000 now. We're going to take it up to 12,000. That's the Republican proposal, K through 12. We secure that. We have a roads funding plan, $3.1 billion without raising taxes, fund the roads plan. Okay.
Awesome.
Corrections facilities, veterans, safety, Michigan State Police. We secure that. We hand it over to the Democrats in the Senate. Crickets. They can't give us an answer back. Towards the end of June, there starts to be some conversations back and forth. We got nothing. And somehow it's our fault that we're going to cut all the programs. We're going to cut Medicaid. We're going to cut the school budgets. We're not cutting. We're offering more than anyone's ever offered. And I'll tell you, you know this, Deb, for the past 20 years or more, the Democrats have criticized the Republicans for not being a party to helping with mental health and not being the party that wants to help our children learn.
Agreed.
Complete lies. Which party is offering more money for mental health and our school-aged children? The Republican Party. Right. Just like before, when the Republicans were in charge, spending increased, whether we agree with it all or not, and how it was done. Lots of Republicans criticize it. they criticize it though because it was being done.
Right.
The Republicans have always increased spending for schools and have always been in the conversation for appropriate mental health. And suddenly the Democrats last year cut mental health spending, school safety. They cut so many programs in the schools having to do with mental health and safety.
Right.
And then they get out there on social media and say it's the Republicans' fault.
Oh, they're famous for that. They've been doing that for years.
Right. And throw grandma off the cliff,
Yep.
Social Security, Medicare, that's always going to, every presidential
know.
battle, they're going to say,
I know.
the Republican candidate, whoever it is, before they even
That's
run,
right.
before they have a platform,
That's
that's what's going to be their platform. So it's the same arguing points. It's the same techniques of lying and deception. And if they say it over and over again, and we're quiet, it works.
You said the right words, and we're quiet. That's one of the reasons we started this show. We wanted to give Republicans the opportunity to not be quiet. Let's talk about what really happened, not what's being said, because what's really happened is never printed anywhere. It is never portrayed on a radio show or whatever. So it's not. So this is one. I mean, there are others in the state, but this is why Livingston County, and as red as we are here, we have many blue media sources here. So we started this, and then we just recently started a online news, the Right Side News, which .com, therightside.news.com for anybody out there. And we have our legislators put things on there. We have letters to the editors. We do Republican candidates campaigns. So we have anything Republican, uncensored, unedited. You get it out there. So
I love it. And there's two other little things here with the budget.
Okay.
They came back with a budget that was $2 billion over expected revenue.
Yeah.
So we're already in the hole. And then they said, and we'll raise taxes. So that's why we don't have a budget yet. It's not our fault. They are completely unreasonable. And then they go
this
lie
needs
about
to
it.
get
So
out
thank
there.
you for having the program.
This needs to get out because I mean their nuttiness, their lunacy. I don't want to say Democrats are all crazy. Democrats, there's a lot of nice Democrats out there. There's a lot of but some of the ones in charge, they're lunatics about what they're demanding, what they expect people to submit to, and it's just crazy.
No one could ever run their home like this.
Raise taxes for what? Let me guess. To fix the roads. Devin, you're right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. And then we'll see if it actually goes to the roads.
That's right. There, yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner. All right. So, so what else you got new going on? Anything new going on in your life, or in your office, or in the house in general, or in the state?
There's a lot of good initiatives.
Okay.
Everyone knows their property taxes are too high.
Yep.
And we're looking at a number of ways to decrease taxes without showing favoritism.
Good.
But everybody's property taxes need to be reevaluated. We need to look at what other states are doing to lower property taxes, or decrease the margin of how much it can be increased.
Sure.
There's a lot of changes we could make here that would help us all. Seniors can't stay in their homes. They also can't move.
Right.
Okay. Farmers trying to sell or give their home to the next generation, and that next generation gets the value assessed at such a high rate,
and so
they're
then what
starting out as a
happens?
new farmer.
What happens then to that land? They can't do
It's
it that
not
way.
farming.
It goes to the solar farms. Is what
Right,
happens.
it
The
won't
solar
be a
farms.
farm.
That's right. The solar farms will buy it. And windmills and things like that. They're going to buy into that. So you're absolutely right. You're on the money here. These are great initiatives.
And we cannot afford to keep losing farmland.
Yeah.
We need our local food supply.
Agreed.
So we're looking at things like
Good.
that. I call it a no-brainer, simple bill. Already passed the House, or passed committee. It was supposed to come up for a vote today, but we had everything canceled.
Okay.
But it passed committee unanimously. That's completely bipartisan in Families and Veterans Committee. Silver Alert bill. Now, we all know what Amber Alert is for children, and children that are missing, and for extreme
senior
weather.
Yeah.
It's
right.
the same setup, same infrastructure, same people monitoring. It will cost us not 1 penny more.
We're talking about alert for seniors.
Silver alert.
Yeah, they have that in Florida.
Yep. Vulnerable adults and
Sure.
seniors.
We could have used that. Did you hear about our Livingston County? We just had a situation where it was finally today. It was 4 or 5 days ago. They lost an 85-year-old man who walked off and they couldn't find him, and they finally, I think today, found his, or maybe it was late last night, found a body that the body itself is in rough shape. I imagine animals and things got to it, but the clothes and things, they're fairly certain that it was him. But that I mean, we're a small community, so we were alerted. But you're right, amber or silver alert's what they're called. Yeah, silver alert would be great. It's not the first time we've had a senior get lost or even not just seniors too, the mentally challenged, autistic or whatever that, get lost or get confused or whatever and wander off, and then who knows. So, and
in the extreme cold weather,
yes,
imagine it could be a couple hours and they're done.
Yeah, so we don't know what happened to this person yet. I mean, he could have just had a heart attack, but on the other hand, maybe not. We don't know. Just sad.
Yeah.
So, we had Carla Wagner on here from Axe My Tax here a few weeks ago. And, I asked her a whole lot of questions, and she's a very passionate individual, and she's very, very, very hell-bent on making sure nobody loses their home or seniors can stay in their homes and things like that. And I applaud the hell out of that. I asked a whole lot of questions on that thing, and I'm not sure they were all answered. Matter of fact, I know they were not all answered. She didn't have answers for them, which is fine. Sometimes you have to dig in. There were some questions I told her I would like to dig in and try to get answers to, and then bring her back and kind of bounce off what I've learned. My concern with Axe My Tax is obviously Olay, no more property taxes, but and she's very clear that they're not setting it up so they get funded at their current rate. All right. Because they want people to make some cuts. Okay, they're too much fat, whatever. Okay, they want this much more. Instead of 10%, they want 15 or 20% or whatever of the sales tax revenue now to be spread, only to be used for essential services, which they list as police, fire, utilities,
water,
sewer, that sort of thing. Yeah, so they've got that stuff. So here's my question: when they disperse this amount, and they've got it on the list, it's based on population. Okay, they're going to disperse it based on population. That is going to, to me, I need to get some numbers, and I'm going to do you have any idea how that's going to work? Because it seems to me it's going to be almost, what's the word? It's like socialist, everybody for one person, $1, everybody gets the same based on their population. It seems to me there are going to be a few counties that get a boatload, and then rural counties, we're still, maybe the 10th or something, the top 10, but that's still, we pay high taxes here, so we're used to high services. And while I don't want anybody to lose their house, at the same time, I don't want to have to cut our sheriff department budget, because now we get, yes, we're getting money back, but are we getting it at the same level, or what are we going to have to cut? And in Livingston County, I don't know how well you're familiar with our government here. We are heavy duty Republican governments here. I will match our commission against any commission in the state for being lean and being red and governing 100% conservatively. We'll be here then, because we are super, super lean here. So if you're going to get cut because you got to cut fat, we're in trouble because we have no fat to cut. So do you have any thoughts on that, or you think that'll get legislated out? I would love to see legislation that had a formula in there.
It's a good discussion. Everyone relates to it. We need to have this discussion. That's why I've been looking at legislation to change the property tax structures to allow for seniors or some group like Texas has done.
Yes.
Seniors. I think they do 65 years. I was looking at 70 years old and older. Do you pay 50%? Are you done paying your property taxes? how does, we're playing with a few different
there should be a income structure in there somewhere. Like somebody mentioned, we were talking about it, and somebody I was interviewing said, well, it depends. If you just make it a senior, then you got seniors that have retired with
millions of dollars
in there. Yeah,
right.
They don't need that cut, but
right.
somebody on a whatever level should.
Yeah. Well, it's a complex conversation.
Yes, it is.
And you've got to play with scenario A.
That's right. If this,
scenario
then,
B,
yep.
scenario C, D, and E, and at least 5 or 6, and a few different states models. We're not anywhere near done, but we're going to introduce 1 or 2 pieces of legislation to try to remedy this, ease some of the burden. Everyone's screaming housing. Really, we don't have a housing crisis as much as we have an inflation crisis.
Right.
And if they can't move around, and folks want to downsize and leave that home open for a growing family.
That's right.
That's the crisis.
That is.
And so it's you're right. But it's not a one size fits all plan.
It isn't, and that's what scares me about this thing. I don't know. I guess Governor DeSantis in Florida is looking into some elimination of property taxes, and he's looking into some ways to do some of that. So I'm going to be watching that as well. But I've got to reach out to some local government entities and kind of say, if this happens, how does that affect us? What kind of money, if you're basing it on population, what kind of money's coming in? What are we going to have to cut? And that's going to be it, because I think people see property taxes going away. Now they're also claiming, well, they won't have to pay for things like libraries or zoos or whatever. You can make recreation, that could all be pay to play. Okay, I don't have a problem with that if that's what happens. But again, I'm worried about that essential services. If we are really cut, I don't want to cut police over this. I mean, I don't want people losing their homes over taxes, but I don't know. But I'd love to see it done legislatively if that can work in conjunction, because then everything's thought of. Right now, everything's not thought of. I ask questions and I get back, I don't know. So
well, we've seen other proposals go through.
Okay.
And they weren't well thought through either.
I know.
I can give a few examples.
I know, so can I.
And the legislature then had
That's right.
Figure out.
Right.
And I can't even say they did a great job.
No. But sometimes you have a choice between a bite out of the rotten apple and a bite out of the rotten orange.
Well, in either way we slice it.
That's right.
It passes or it doesn't pass. We still got big problems.
That's right.
That, even we look at our justice system.
I know.
And it's not that we have bad players, prosecutors, judges, lawyers, all of that in the position, but there's a lot of scenarios where we know we're not getting we're not getting justice.
Right.
I could give you a dozen scenarios right off the top of my head, constituents who have problems getting justice, and it's not the design of the system. And so we got to keep tweaking. It doesn't matter what we're looking at in government. We got to keep tweaking it. We got to keep going back to the drawing board, saying, what else can we change? And at the end of the day, whatever department or system of government or whatever we're doing, if the people who are heading it up and overseeing it are not full of integrity,
agreed,
and good, thoughtful common sense, and for the good of the people, it's not going to be run well. And that
is
going
to be worse than it is now. Yeah. So, well, and I'd like to see, like I said, I would love to see Ask My Tax come to the table with the legislature and figure out a way, and let the legislature really work through, because they've got the power of the numbers. They've got the Legislative Service Bureau. They've got the finance that can figure all this out and kind of be able to give a better package, a better explanation
with all the factors.
Yes. Right now they've got the end justifies the means. If we're past this, nobody loses their house anymore. Yes, that's true, and that's a great outcome. However, does it create a bigger problem? I don't know. It might not. It might be perfect.
It's pushing the
nobody
conversation.
Knows. Yes.
It's pushing the right conversation.
I want all those answers.
Yeah.
And then if I can get all those answers, and those answers say that that's a way better situation than it is now, and all the details are in place, and we're not going to be chopping police and everything else just because, you're not gonna have a bigger supporter than I am. But I like answers before I go crazy.
Yeah. So. Whether it's property tax or income tax.
Right.
I mean, Republicans don't want a state income tax.
Nope.
Other states are doing it.
Nope.
They get the money in a different way. They have higher sales tax than we do.
I know that to me, the fair tax is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody contribute, and it's funny too, because you have all the Democrats that say, well, the rich don't, they don't pay they don't have the same rate. Well, it does. That's why they call it a fair tax, having that flat tax, because if you make $3 million a year, you're going to be paying tax on purchases based on a $3 million income. If you make $30,000 a year, you will be paying tax based on the income or the purchases based on $30,000 income. It doesn't, and furthermore, all those people working under the table, working, illegally, drugs, whatever, I don't care who it is, they're all going to be contributing because they have to go buy something in the store, and that is going to be the sales tax. So that's going to be better too. So I've always been in favor of a higher, just a flat tax, and then get the job done. But we'll have to see how that goes. All right, we're going to take a break here. And we're going to go to some commercials, and then we're going to be back, and we're going to talk about we're going to talk about governing conservatively, and what does that mean? So we will be back.
The Exalted Christ Ministry offers resources to help you understand historic Christianity. Visit theexaltedchrist.com for articles, podcasts, and a video series exploring Scripture and key historical topics. Get free resources today at www.theexaltedchrist.com.
Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning is a fantastic new blend of herbs and vegetables made in Livingston County. Add a tablespoon to homemade breads, soups, stews, meat, poultry, vegetables, casseroles, sauces, and more. To order, email Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning at gmail.com or message the Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning Facebook page.
Oops. Hold on, forgot to take out the background. There we are. Hello. Sorry about that. All right, so we're back, and we've had a great conversation. Once again, this is Representative Gina Johnson, and she's a very conservative representative that I've known for some time, and I've always respected her. She's a hard worker, and she comes from the right place. So no questioning motives or anything like that. So I just have a great deal of respect for her. So one of the conversation pieces, and we try to have some sort of conversation piece on this every week. And this week's conversation are based on two questions. And the first one is, what does governing conservatively mean? And we can go with what governing conservative. Let's start with, what does governing conservatively in the legislature mean? Can you kind of help define that?
Well, first of all, when you're in the legislature, you are part of a big team.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't come in there, you're not the executive branch, the governor, and certainly not the judicial branch, but the governor is one voice. She doesn't have to collaborate with her whole governor team.
Right.
I mean, if she's wise, she gets good counsel, but
sure.
It's like one vote is all she needs, hers. Okay. The legislature is a team. We have to collaborate. We have to convince. We have to kind of sell our ideas to each other, and sometimes I'll trade that idea for this one, and we're going to have to put that on the shelf because we can't come to a consensus. It's a lot more complicated. So like you were saying earlier, people get criticized because we couldn't go in there, wave the wand, and go fix it all just because we got elected. But I think we need to remind people there's two basic functions of government: to have healthy and functioning infrastructure, roads, bridges, dams, clean water, sewage going one way, drinking water going the other.
Right.
You've got to have that in place. You also need safety. So infrastructure and safety. If we're not doing that, we shouldn't be talking about funding the rest of everything.
Right.
Schools would be the next conversation that most people would want to have. But we also need to remember, we are the most charitable, religiously based, Christian-based, Judeo-Christian-based country on the face of the earth. And with that comes the opportunity for charities to pick up a lot of the needs and the holes and the gaps. That was the design of good conservative government.
Gosh, you are singing my song.
Yeah,
and charities are so much better at it than the government.
Right, and they're eyeball to eyeball.
Yes.
You think of Medicaid fraud. The people who need Medicaid the most are usually those who can't figure out a very complicated fill out the paperwork and go online and apply for that. They don't know how to do all that. They can't. They barely have a phone. They barely know where to lay their head.
Right.
But those that are really good at a whole lot of things that probably could work are functioning well to get some of this Medicaid funding. So when you've got a charity filling in some of this, like let's just say free dental.
Sure.
For example, eyeball to eyeball, the local community knows who's truly in need.
That's right.
And doesn't know how to ask for it. And who's frauding the system.
That's right.
And they're coming back around and they want free everything and they're not helping. It's a lot easier for a local charity to vet who's in need and who isn't. And that's just one example.
Well, and then there's a whole chunk out of there that you don't have to pay. We have a department that tries to deal with these people. We are paying department people to do things that local people can do for their own donations and whatever else they're doing. Having that extra layer of government, it just puts people in control of other people, and I hate that.
Right. So what's 50% of our state government spent on?
Department
of Health and Human
Services, DHHS.
What are they in charge of? Foster care.
That's right.
Adult Protective Services.
Mental health.
CPS, Child Protection.
Yep.
Mental health. Yep. The Medicaid.
Yep.
What else?
Oh, there's so many. I worked
adoption.
I worked for the representative in charge of that state budget, and man, that was crazy. Double-sided. There we go. It was this thick, and little bitty font. The budget. It was crazy.
Where charities, I'm not saying charities can take on all of that in a flash,
but they can a lot,
and gradually take on more and more and do it better, like you said. We've got to look at this. 50% of the budget, and we say we don't have enough money for roads and safety? And we're going to cut the sheriff's department? No, we're not. We're not going to cut the sheriff's department. And say to a church, and I kid you not, I was in committee meetings last year and the year before, where I kept saying, well, how many churches are involved? They want more funding for more mental health and more whatever. How many churches are involved? We don't want churches involved. I heard it out of their mouths. We're an education committee. We need more mental health people. By the way, we're short mental health practitioners of all levels in the state of Michigan. So I don't know where you're going to poof them out of thin air and get them, but they wanted more money for them. Well, we can't even hire for the spaces we have right now. Neither can DHHS.
Right.
But so I said, so how many churches in the local area already offer free marriage, parenting, family counseling? They handle the suicides. They handle depression and anxiety. Tell me a church that doesn't handle the funeral of a suicide and the ongoing for years counseling of the family.
Yep.
They are already doing it. So they said, we have our culture in the schools. We don't want their culture, and it's different. I said, even when the church is next door to the school, you really think the culture is that different? Yes, and we don't want it. That's a terrible attitude.
It is.
That conservative government embraces all the possible solutions, whether they're charitable and free, by the way, and probably done very well.
Much better.
Still with oversight, or they're paid for by the government. But currently I'm looking at DHHS going, just show me one thing you do really well. And let's model.
I'll wait.
Yeah, I can't even finish the sentence. You know where I'm going.
I do.
Let's model everything after that. But I haven't found the one yet. I'm
No.
not saying it's not there. I haven't found it yet, though. And I'm horrified. 150 kids dead in the CPS system.
Yep.
They're in the system already.
Yep.
They already have eyes, government eyes on it. We're not doing our job. And we're paying through the nose for it.
I know.
So we got big problems. Also, part of conservative government, which the rest of the world is just like, oh, geez, I don't know how you do that. I just got back from England. I've been to Israel. I've been to, they don't know how we do that. But we defend ourselves because we have the right to defend ourselves. Our Second Amendment is like none other.
Agreed.
And it is common sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people say to me, well, you don't care about the minorities. Oh, no, I care about the minorities so much. They should have the ability to pick up a weapon and defend themselves against the KKK.
Agreed.
That's giving them the opportunity to stop evil right before them. We stand up for the minority. That's what the Second Amendment is for. That's what religious liberty is for. That's what our liberties are for. So, and then, of course, our vote has to count. What's the point of having all this conservative government and the vote doesn't count?
Agreed.
So that's my summary of conservative.
Okay, for the legislature, and this is what I'm looking at because I'm leading into something else, but we have in our conservative townships and our conservative commissioners and conservative, what does that mean in like a township trustee? How would you define voting conservatively on a local level?
Oh, at the township level.
Yeah, township level or commission level. What would be our guidelines there?
Well, number one, they got to stay within the budget too.
Okay.
State has to stay within a budget.
Mm-hmm.
Every home has to stay within a budget.
Yes.
And I like to give the example when mom and dad are sitting down at the dinner table and they're figuring out their budget. They don't start with vacation.
No.
And they don't start out with, gosh, we'd like to landscape the whole front yard.
Right.
We can't either at the state,
sure,
at the township level, at the county level. We got to go back to infrastructure and safety.
Right.
You know, what are the basics? We got to have infrastructure at the very least to have the food supply move from A to B to C and people eat and survive. We've got to have clean water. We've got to have an environment that's truly sustainable, not these green policies that are just fake games.
Okay.
So the township needs to be able to say what's essential services, what are not.
Right.
If we run out of money, safety still comes first, right? Infrastructure comes first.
Agreed.
And people are like, well, animal control. Well, animal control is part of safety, but do we need quite as much money there? What about free dental services? What about the areas where charities in the community are already doing those things? Let's encourage more.
Right.
And you know, charities expand when the need is there, when the encouragement is there. When we look at 9/11, when we look at Hurricane Katrina, when we look at crisis in our country, you see charitable giving off the charts. That's who we are.
Agreed.
Americans give, they serve, they stop everything, they go and rush in to help. That's what will happen when we cut back. We can't be afraid to be the bad guy to cut back. Mom and dad, we get mad at mom and dad because they took away the vacation one summer.
Right.
Well, we're going to have to go to free parks this summer.
That's right. Sometime,
we don't have enough.
Right.
We're going to play outside. We're going to play ball with kids. If we don't have enough money to be in Girl Scouts and piano lessons and all the sports teams, et cetera, because we don't even have money for that, we're going to have to play in the front and the backyard with the neighborhood kids.
You know, that's the way I grew up. So let me ask you this, as it pertains to the local government, where does the line for what you would consider a conservative elected official, where's the line as it pertains to respecting homeowner rights, business rights? Where does the line blur? Where is it? Like where should we never go that you might be seeing we're going or the locals go? I mean,
you're talking about solar farms.
No, well, solar farms. I mean, we had a whole deal here about that. Yes,
Okay.
But I'm talking about like a township level respecting a homeowner's right to do X with his property or not. What it seems to me they seem to, some of them, not all of them, but some of them just seem to be
Going too
encroaching. Yes,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, on TikTok or on those Instagram reels or whatever, on Facebook, you see those reels. I think they're TikTok. There is and I don't know the thing, but there's a whole thread on the HOA guy. And it is this crazy guy that keeps coming over and he sticks his nose up to the camera of this one family and goes, "Hey bro, just want to let you know you can't have your car idle for more than 30 seconds and you're going to get a fine for that because it's been on, or it's been on for like 6 minutes now." Or the next one, it's like, "All right, you know what? You're not allowed to leave your packages for more than a half an hour, so I'm taking this. You're not getting it back." And off he goes.
Wow.
And it's like this whole thread, and they're ridiculous. And I'm sure it's not serious. I'm sure it's just some sort of
I hope
goofiness.
not.
Yeah, but it makes. But I equate that to some townships or some counties or some local city council that do that sort of thing, that they're just so overreach. We won't let you do this in your garage. We won't let you do this on your backyard. We won't let you do this at your business. And whatever it is, it's not necessarily. I mean, I get if it's a safety, situation. If you're spraying, if you're dumping paint down the sewer or something, or whatever, no, you don't want to do that. Or if you're overspraying Roundup or something and it's leaching into your neighbors and killing his trees. Okay, I get that they get to step in.
But should you be able to have chickens?
Yeah.
Should you be able to set up a beehive?
Yeah.
These are areas there was Eaton County, little boy, special needs, had I forget, potbelly pig. That's what.
Okay.
It's a little
pig. Yeah.
It was his pet. It was security to him.
No, I'm already cringing.
They made a rule, took it away from him. What harm was there in the pig?
Oh my God!
If that's your pet, and then fast forward, that was about 15 years ago. Now fast forward to, they got signs in the airports like you can't bring your emotional support llama in. I was in a condo association in California.
You gotta be kidding
Yeah,
me.
you can't bring the llamas in. That's not an emotional support animal.
Oh my gosh!
So we've come to the extremes. Yeah, you can't bring a llama in, but what's wrong with the little pig? What was it hurting? Well, then everyone will want a pig. Nobody's running around screaming they all want pigs. And what if everybody did have one potbelly pig in their home? No problem. The common sense factor. Again, like I was saying before, you can evaluate this structure of government, that structure, a little more of this, a little more of that. How are we going to do the property taxes or income tax or whatever? But the people running the show are not people who have common sense, normal experiences in life. They care about people and they have integrity. It's all gonna be shot to hell because it doesn't work.
And this is scary because sometimes I'm not blaming this on just Democrats. I've seen Republicans do this. They want to get in everybody's backyard, everybody's business. And it's not all of them, but it's just some of them. And it worries me because especially, as a chair of a party, I'm trying to promote certain principles, and we elect Republican not legislators. We elect Republican township officials, county officials, city officials, because we want that common sense.
Critically important at the local level.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Even more important than
it is
state
because
level.
it's instant. That kid got his pig taken away instantly. It didn't have to go through the whole vetting process at the state where it might have died. So it is so critical for our local officials to and sometimes you have to stand up against your other Republican in the room that's wanting more restrictions is not the Republican way. That's to me horrible.
I'll give you another example. Early in 23, when I first got into office, I got a phone call from one of the women who said, I read your Facebook post and you said you care about whatever I said I cared about. She said, well, I hope you can help me because I'm getting fined for too much trash in my yard and that it's an eyesore to the rest of the community. And it was. But she said, I'm poor. I take care of 6 relatives who are all sick. I'm barely making it, just taking, and she truly was like the good Samaritan in her family, doing the best she could, and poor. And she said, a fine? You're going to give me a fine? I can't even pay the fine. So I thought, well, I'm going to call the supervisor who enacted the fine. And I said, what's really the problem? He told me. I said, well, let's just figure out a way to help her. The problem is the problem. We got businessmen together who provided dumpsters. We got youth from local churches together to help put the trash in the dumpsters and help her physically. We got a local church to donate some fencing and some support for her. Her car broke. They paid for the car to be fixed.
Oh gosh.
So we got the whole community together and solved the problem.
Right.
And it's not just, people turn to government for everything.
Sure.
Government and one lady in need. Well, the government said that's not okay because it wasn't by community standards and the people around them. But she needed help. Now, I also tell people, you need to be in a church or a synagogue, whatever your religion is. You need to be in a community where it's not you against the whole world.
That's right.
Everybody suffers.
Especially if you're the one taking care of six family members.
Right. You're going to need backup. You're going to need more support. You're going to need more advice, more counsel, more input, and funds and charitable giving.
Right.
And everybody has crisis at some point. Everybody has to pull in from other people. And we got to all help. And you come alive when you help.
Agreed.
If you serve and you wake up in the morning and say, what can I do for somebody? You're alive and well. You're having a good day.
Agreed.
So I think there's a lot more to it than just the government has an answer and it's a new rule.
Right. And that's the scary line right there. It's a new rule. It shouldn't be more rules. It should be solving a problem, but to me, overreach just means if it's not a safety issue or a health issue, get out of the way. Just leave it alone.
Right.
You know, if you got a neighborhood that don't like the chicken crowing at 5 a.m, figure out how to keep the chicken in a dark area for beyond 5 a.m. Don't take it to the government, and the government should say, look, you guys got to figure this out. You know, if you got a homeowners association, all right, you set up your rules and go, but it just things like I said, they're in everybody's backyard, and I hate to see it encroaching on Republicans, but I kind of am, not a lot, but enough that it's like we almost need to go back to the class of how do you legislate conservatively, and how do you call yourself a Republican, and then. You know, I've been on a school board. I understand. You get elected to do certain things and you think, okay, bang, I'm going to do it. Then you get up there and you got to vote that way. And you got all these people there staring at you that don't want you to vote that way. But you know it's the right thing to do. Let me tell you, that is hard. And I know you do the same way. It's hard. But you do it. That's what you ran on. And if you're going to run on ABC and then you get elected, don't do ABC. Shame on you. I don't care what party you belong to. Bad. So anyway, all right. The next thing and the last thing I want to talk about as far as this little education piece is constituent power. I don't want to say power. That's a terrible word. But constituent influence. Power, I guess, is slight. But people don't understand the effect that constituents have when they go to visit their state rep or their commissioner or their township supervisor or whatever else. There's the right way, obviously, and the wrong way to do it. But pounding your fist and yelling and calling names, you're gonna just lose anybody, and that goes without saying. But
that's basic.
Showing up, and I'm gonna start with a state representative. You know, you can jump in here anytime. When you go to see a state representative, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get 30 minutes. You're going to get 30 minutes, not 30 minutes and then plus whatever else you can squeeze in, 30 minutes. And you're going to have somebody at that door that's going to come in and give you a 2-minute warning. And then at 30 minutes, you're going to have to leave. So when you go in, be organized about what you're going to say. I want to talk to you about this problem I'm having, and this is what I'm asking for help with, okay? You get that organized. If you can have something, a white paper that you can hand to the representative and hand to whoever the chief of staff or the legislative person with them, do that, because that'll also cut to it. I will tell you, I worked for probably one of the kindest, nicest senators ever lived, and that was Mark Jansen.
Yeah.
And if you walked into an appointment with Mark and you decided to ask him about his wife or ask him about his kids or ask him about his parents or any other thing that he ever did, and you wanted to do that for 20 minutes, he'd let you, and he would tell you about his wife and he would tell you about his kids. But then when you started talking, your 30 minutes didn't start there. You had 10 minutes left.
Right.
And I'd be in that room watching my clock, and then I'd say, okay, we have to done. We have more people coming in. So understand, you're there to talk about a purpose, a particular thing. Make sure you stick to that subject. Make sure your pleasantries are very short, and then thank the person afterwards. So does that sound about right in your office? Is that any more hints on that?
Yes, and sometimes, folks would do themselves a favor if they bring somebody with them who's possibly less emotional about the topic, because there's a lot of emotions flying about things that have been handled poorly. They've been injured, they've been, something's been taken away. Someone who's more objective, who can articulate it quickly, A, B, C, because then the senator, representative, whoever, can ask the right questions to try to direct it towards a solution. A lot of people come in and the first thing they do is they just vent.
Yep.
And I have no problem with venting. But when the next is coming in, the next one, and then you got to go vote in committee, and then you got to go walk across the street, go vote in the Capitol. And that's really why I prefer in-district meetings, because I got more time.
That's right. That's right.
Can
That's
do
right.
more.
That's right.
I'd rather go to you, frankly. But you want to have it succinct. This is what happened. Here's the problem.
Oh, man.
Can you help me?
I had this exact conversation. I had a woman ask me for some advice on how to handle a local situation, and I asked her to, kind of tell me, and I listened for 15 minutes about, her situation, and I got lost so much because it was so much he said, then I, then she, then he, then it was more walking me through the process, and all the emotion clouded it, and I finally kind of said, okay, let me ask some yes or no questions. Did this happen? Yes or no? Yes. And then you did this, right? Yes or no? Okay. And she sent me a long narrative of what happened, and I took it and I pulled all the meat out of it and I shortened it and sent it back to her and said, now approach the person with that. Don't do all this. You can't follow emotion. You can't follow drama. You can't follow he said, then I, then he, then he. You don't go in talking about
the story.
You don't do the narrative like line by line. You talk about the bullet points, the factor. On or about this date, this happened. You sort of talk about, I don't know, like you would present it to a court. On or about this date, this happened. On or about this date,
or
I
when
did
you go to
this.
your doctor.
Yes.
Think about when you go to your doctor.
Right.
I mean, a lot of doctors are regulated by their insurance companies, their hospital associations, whatever. And they have 10 minutes.
That's right.
They used to give you an hour. Now they give you 10 minutes.
Yep.
In 10 minutes, I have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom.
Yep. This
Help
change, this change, this change. I did this differently. I didn't do anything differently here. This stays fine. This is fine.
And practice saying it to somebody ahead of time.
That's right.
Not, I can't find the words.
Great.
I don't know the adjectives to describe. I do this with my background's healthcare business.
Sure.
So I think about right. And you want to know what you want to say ahead of time. Write it down.
Right.
Write it out.
That's the best advice. We could stop right now and everything be perfect. Write it down in bullet point form and bring a copy for the legislator. So, and bring a couple because if they have staff, that staff is also going to be working on whatever it is. But describe what is your problem and what you'd like done about it. If you don't know what their steps are to solve the issue, what you do is say, I would like this outcome. I'm not sure how to get there. What do you think? Maybe the legislator needs to think about it. Generally they do. They'll think about it and they'll get back with you and basically tell you, okay, I think I need to do a bill, or I could do a bill, but it will never go anywhere because it's, the Dems in the Senate will never let it go. Or it's, well, maybe
I need to
take that back home.
yeah,
connect you to a church, connect you to an organization.
Other department.
Yes, a department. That's great. So understand you do have, but you can influence too by saying, this is, you're working on a bill as a funeral home, for funeral home regulation. I own a funeral home. I'm coming here to tell you this is a bad thing. This is going to cost us money. This is going to cost us help. This is going to, a regulation that is unfair and unsustainable, blah, blah, blah. Your legislator should listen to you when it comes from you. So it's not just, I'd like this done. It is, I see this being done in the legislature. Let me tell you how it's going to affect us on the ground. I've only known one legislator ever that understood funeral law. he owned a funeral home. So, but everybody else, none of them do. So they have to, so you coming in saying, look, I'm a funeral director or a teacher or a law enforcement officer, whatever, it's saying, this is how it's going to affect us. Now you got to practical. So understand, watch for things that are going to affect your businesses and go make an appointment with your legislator. Right. Give them, but again, if you are the expert or what we call the subject matter expert or SME, if you are the SME in this situation, take it if you're in Representative Johnson's district, you take her the bullet point. Here is why this is a bad thing, or here's why you should support it because it's going to decrease this, increase this. It's going to be a good thing for Michigan. So give her or him the talking points that help them. And this is great because now they're speaking from your experience, not their own.
And also, how many people does it affect?
Right.
How do you represent 10,000 other restaurants? Do you represent 2 people on a board? What do you represent? And it's okay if it's just you.
That's right.
But if it's just you and you're going through this scenario and you Google how many other support groups are dealing with the same thing.
That's right.
You're going to find many other groups dealing with similar things.
So we got 2 ways to go about it. You're having an issue and you want a legislator's help, or you see legislation that's up and either you really want it or you really don't. Go talk to your legislator and give them your experience of why this is not good or it is good. Right. The same thing can be applied to the county. The same thing can be applied.
Take the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, to the local
township.
Yep. You can make
city.
Don't ever be afraid to talk in public at the public hearing at the county, at the state, or at the county, at the city, or at the township. They have by law they have to have public comment, and usually you're given 2 or 3 minutes depending on what it is. Sometimes many, like the commissioners here in Livingston County, they give you 3 minutes at the beginning, and at the end they give you another 2. So you can have technically 5 minutes to either talk about what they're going to do or comment on what they just did. And
you can make an appointment to have more time.
That's right. You could have more time with either the county administrator or your own commissioner. So you can talk about this. You can meet with your township supervisor. But if that doesn't work, go in front of the board. Speak in public, because that goes into record. And get somebody to videotape you. Put it all over Facebook. Like I said, it's one thing to vote in the dark. It's another thing to vote knowing you got somebody out there that's really going to be upset about it. So, you do have control. You do have power. You do have influence. Don't be afraid to use it. chair@livingstonrepublicans.com if you have any questions or you want any advice on talking to a legislator, talking to this is what we're here for. So we're happy to help. Just as a quick note, we have Pinckney Food Truck Friday coming up this Friday. We're going to have a booth there. And our dynamic team of Mike and Sharon Staton, who are our volunteer membership team, and Joni Econom, who's our volunteer coordinator, they will be on hand. We'll be answering questions. We had a great 8 hours. It's noon to 8. A great 8 hours there. If you have a conservative business that you can sell items or whatnot, and we will set up tents right together. I have my bunny seasoning right next to the LCRP, so we're trying to promote conservative businesses there, and we Mike Staton sells more of my bunny seasoning than I do, so it's, we work together here. It's fun. So come on down. It's 12 to 8 at Pinckney at the Art in the Park, little park there. So there's music there, and it's food truck craziness. It's absolutely outstanding. So that's fun. And okay, so that's it. Upcoming shows we got. I'm working on next week. I might have a really cool thing, so watch your flyers. And then then comes the gubernatorial stretch, I guess we're going to call it. On the 29th, we have Mike Cox. On the 5th, we have Anthony Hudson. On the 12th, we have Eric Nesbitt, and then we have Tom Leonard on the 19th. So we have a nice stretch of statewide electeds here. And like I said, next week I've got a tentative right now. I can't say. So if I get it, you know me, I'm going to post on the Republican pages. I'm going to post a flyer. So watch that flyer for the news. I'm waiting for a certain elected official who is going to call me today and let me know to call me today. So if you're watching that elected official, you know who you are, call me. All right. Thank you. Thank you again, Representative Johnson, for making the trip out here. Always a pleasure to see you. You've been a great teammate here today and a great Republican, and keep fighting the good fight in Lansing. We love watching you.
Sure will. Thanks for having me.
All right. Good night, everybody.